The podcast will begin in 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I never get tired of that intro. We have to come up with an outro on it. But I know today we're just going to do a quick hot seat right here. We're going to talk about sales. We talked about it a long time ago. Personally, not a week goes by where I don't have someone coming to the door trying to sell something. Extermination, cable, solar. And personally, I love it. I run to the door to answer the door and test their sales strategy and sold a couple of books to them along the way. But I know you were talking about the other day. Well, you had a couple. You had a solar guy that you got pretty good.
I had a solar guy for a while, yeah, and which I mean, I mean his stuff again is the same thing. It's you know if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. You don't sell to a certain, you can have training in certain areas and certain styles and certain systems that you have, Medic and Sandler and NEPQ and all these other items. It really all is on the basic of the same thing. You got to sell to the way the buyer buys, period.
What happened with you and the first the solar guy? Because that guy he
solar guy came over and I had already talked. I was already interested in just seeing, hey, all right, what's all the bub about? Like what's all this stuff that they talk about. So I this was maybe last year. I own a duplex, right? So I've got a tenant that lives above me. And then, and I'm living on half an acre of land in Norfolk, which is pretty unheard of right then. But I've got my neighbor has some large trees that it doesn't block it, but it obviously for the part of the sun that is coming up, it comes up from the east and does all this stuff. So about a year ago, a salesman came out and did an evaluation. He goes, hey, it's not that you can't benefit from it, but if you could knock those trees down, that'd be great. He goes, then you've got everything. And I go, well, first of all, they're not my trees, so that's number one. And so
knock down the neighbor's trees.
Well, he said it. He goes, unless those trees come down, he goes, there's nothing really. He goes, it's not that you can't do anything, you can benefit from it, but you're not going to benefit anything until probably about 11 o'clock in the morning, and then go on. So he goes, do I think it's beneficial? I think you still could do it, but and so for me, I appreciated that hey, not everybody has the, not everybody is a perfect fit for whatever it is, the products that you're doing. That was fine. Fast forward now to this year, I had another guy that came up and, and he started talking and I said, hey, I go kind of the same thing like you do. I got no problems at all talking to salespeople. And he started talking to me. I said, well, I've had an evaluation done before. And, they said that it's not enough. Well, we've got this other system and stuff like that. So I don't know how the systems became newer to be able to say, the sun is doing better now, or whatever it is. And then he's doing the scare tactics of, by 2070, you'll be spending $5,000 a month on power. And I'm like, well, I probably won't even be around 2070, so who cares? But that's, so that was the thing. But I said, hey, let's see how far we can. Let's hear your pitch. So he does this whole entire shindig, comes back with this astronomical amount. Then of course he comes back with exactly the same thing that the other guy says. Well, if we cut these trees down, you have a good relationship with your neighbor. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't think he's going to cut down his trees. And
you can have solar.
Yeah, so just so I can have solar. And he so he came back with his whole price shindig. I didn't ask for it, but he was like, hey, I got to do this. And then he started this whole thing on, hey, this is, I own my company. And it's if I have to have another salesman come, because I was like, well, let me think about it and stuff, because he was putting into the price to be able to cut my trees that I had down, because that was my biggest issue. Now, I don't care. That had nothing to do with solar. I just want some of these trees out of the way in the first place. So I was like, well, you kind of get two birds with one stone. I get the solar panels if I see the benefit of it, and then also my trees are going to be cut down. So I said, let me some time to think about it. And then that's when he was trying to do his closing on, well, if I got to come, if somebody else has to come back here, then I have to charge more for that. And I'm like, that's not my problem, bro. That's your problem. That's not a. And I said, let's be honest. If I sat there and called you on Tuesday and said, hey, I want this price that you sat there and did, you'd be a dumbass. Not saying that they would do it. They wouldn't do it. But you'd be a dumbass to sit there and turn away a deal, especially if I'm saying, hey, I'm ready to go. So I when somebody's doing that and then they're trying to do pressure tactics, it just turns me off. It's no longer that way. You don't sell shit that way anymore. So that was my solar, my solar story. The best one though was Verizon coming. They came. I don't know. I think it was this week.
Yeah, it was this week.
So he came in and I've had, just to give a little backstory. So I'm currently running on Cox. MetroNet is now in Norfolk, so there's fiber. There is a fiber, competitor now in the area, and I'm just too lazy to call them. I mean, that's basically just my own thing. So I have thought about moving over to MetroNet. I just haven't done it yet. And then this guy from Verizon came over for try to sell the cellular internet, which I've tried before. So I have tried that before, about a year about the same thing about a year ago, and it just wasn't. I could see it if I didn't have options. You're out in the boonies or something like that. You're out in Suffolk and one of these other areas. Then yeah, I could see it, but it wasn't reliable enough. Certainly wasn't fast enough. And for the amount of devices that I carry, it wasn't a good fit. Well, guy comes in and he goes, who are you currently on? Well, who are you currently with? I said, I'm with Cox. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, well, you're done, dude. That's nothing else you could say. I mean, not that I have necessarily such brand loyalty to Cox, but you never go. I was like, you just broke that's a fundamental rule. You don't do that. You don't tell somebody their baby's ugly. You don't tell, So I asked him straight off. I said, hey, what kind of car do you have? What kind of car are you driving? And I kind of set him off. And I think he said like a Nissan Sentra. And I go, that piece of shit? And he kind of just like stopped. And then I said, that's how it made me feel. Yeah. So you have no chance at all. And he immediately went to, pricing and this and that. And how are we going to, how much you paying? And I said, I'm paying like $100 or around there. And he was like, oh, this will be like $50. And that's now, me, I don't give a shit about money, but I'm saying I pay for what I feel is good stuff. And I told him, I said, you didn't know that I already had your shit. And he goes, well, when did you have that? I said, last year. And he goes, well, that was then. And now, and I go, yeah, but back then you said the same things that you're saying now. So, you burned me once. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So I was like, is this how you guys are being trained? Like, is this your sales pitch, is to go in and just, that's garbage. And what I have is so much greater. First of all, you're setting expectations that you can never meet, and you should know you're never going to be able to meet them. And so it was not a great pitch at all. And I after about 5 or 10 minutes, I think he walked away with his tail between his legs. But I was like, this cannot be the way that they're selling. But I mean, he was doing it on such a flow that it seemed like that's
working with some of the individuals from both solar and Cox and roofing and extermination business. They run on more or less of a churn and burn type of thing, where they give them just the fundamentals and they send them out into the wild, and it's a numbers game for them.
Yeah, and you can't do that anymore. I mean, that's an old mentality of, well, if I make 50 calls a day and then that's going to be this and then that's going to be that. Nobody, Brian Burns has brought that up many a time, that you can't sit there and.
Well, for those listeners that watch this on the playback that don't know who Brian Burns is, we tell a little bit about him, who he is.
Yes, Brian Burns he runs a podcast as well called The Brutal Truth. He's a fantastic it's a fantastic show. I don't agree with all the stuff that he does. I mean, he cannot stand KPIs. He cannot stand any CRMs, and I should say that. But at least that's the way he makes it seem.
Yeah,
But,
it does come across like that.
and I get it. I understand. I am a sales rep. I still am in the game. I'm not outside of it. Or you can say, well, this is what we used to do back in the day. But so he does. He runs it's a very good sales clips is what I used to say. I usually watch his clips on LinkedIn and stuff. But he says it all the time, about that you can't. Prospecting is no longer the way it was before. Every people are already. I already knew what I want. I have already looked at MetroNet. I already know that that's most likely where I'm going to go. The speeds are there. The cost is great. And so that's most likely what I'm going to do. So, if Cox is watching, better do something because you're about to lose me. And Verizon, you never had.
Cox was up to some stuff because I had Cox because I fell for the commercials and everything they had out there. And when I was doing some day trading, they were dropped so much.
Yeah.
And I was losing money on trades. I just went on. I think I had them for a couple of months. I just went on ahead, cashed out the contract, and went to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it was just it's an overloaded network, and that's one of the reasons why I was like, well, let me see if everybody else is dropping off. Maybe Cox is going to get better. And to be honest with you, I think it has. So like I said, I'm paying more, and that's I can get faster speeds for less. It doesn't make sense for me to do that. I didn't want to be the first, and so I kind of got burned with that on doing Verizon shit. So I didn't want to do it. So. But what he's talking about is that you already the market today when you prospect you're trying to guide them. You're trying to guide people to whatever it is that you're selling or whatever it is that your product fits. And then when they're ready, as I said, when they're ready, there is no very rare. How now? What's the odds that you're going to call somebody and you're going to have when they have active pain right then and there, and not been looking. Oh my God, I've been waiting for you to call me for so long. No, that doesn't work that way. As he says, and I agree. You can hit, latent pain and pain that's I know I have a problem with this, but I haven't had time to be able to sit there and look at it, and then your skill set drops in on, hey, how can I make this active pain, and doing it that way. But most consumers now, and I always say, just look at yourself. Just act as if you're yourself. If you're going to go and buy something, you're going to go buy sneakers. If you're going to go running, and you're going to, had nothing to do with, I can't care about the color. I don't care about this. I just want to get a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
You're going to go and take a look. You're going to look on Amazon. You're going to look on, Facebook, whatever anybody else has been saying about them or whatever. You're going to check reviews. You're going to do stuff on the company. You're going to do stuff. You already have it in your mind. By the time you go to execute on that, somebody else coming in there going, hey, I sell shoes, whatever. It's not going to happen. So that's the thing that I've seen very much so in sales lately is you've got to be able to guide, kind of like this. This is, hey, you can check us out. You can see what we do. You can see what the Grotto Group does. What we're the many facets that we do under sales and marketing, coaching, and AI, and all this other stuff that we do. And then, if you're interested more, you want to see more, then you go that route. But this
I think the new one-on-one coaching program. This is not intentional. I didn't mean to do a plug because the program's not even ready yet. But the one-on-one coaching program that you have coming out, I think that's going to help a lot of individuals. The sad part is you can't duplicate yourself, and what the one-on-one coaching was what they need.
Oh, yeah, I only have so many.
Yeah. So it's affordable as compared to. I was looking at, man, it's crazy price, man. It's extremely affordable, and I wonder. When I see it, because I talk to entrepreneurs on a daily basis, and they can't sell. They can't sell. They can't make cold calls. And I say that It's about relationships, is what it is. It's very rare that I hit a bing. Well, I don't want to say rare. It happens that I call somebody and they say, "Oh, I was just interested. I was talking about that just yesterday." I do get those.
Yeah, it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't, but
more likely it's a relationship. You call one and say about something. You want to build that relationship with them. Now, everything, especially coming up with the internet's getting faster. AI is making things even faster. I remember when it used to be 7 touches, but 3 to 5 touches, then 7 touches. Now it's damn near 40 touches. You know what I mean?
It might be. I mean, that very well might be. I've seen it now from a B2B standpoint, certainly, probably around 7 to 8 before you get that talk.
Yeah.
Before at least somebody says something back to you.
But that's usually something that you pulled out of your CRM and you're working the lead already, right?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
That's usually a lead that you have in your CRM, like in your sector.
Yeah, this would be just a regular cold call. I mean, this would be just a regular, hey, I'm reaching out, and want to have some time just to listen to what you're doing. And that's I think the biggest problem that I see from the training videos and stuff that I've seen and the online coaching that they do is that, like I said, everybody has whatever methodology that they're trying to do or they're trying to say from a whatever's getting you hung up on, when you're making your cold call, and this is that and click and this and click and then they jump straight to the discovery and they go, this is how you combat some. Now you've got the meeting. Wait a minute, you just jumped that that chasm of cold calling, and what do you say and talk to them to get to that meeting? And that's some of the things that we talk about is that's fine and dandy, but damn, if I can get to the discovery call, it's now it's just a matter
of got it once you get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, you got the shot, you got the at bat. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get on the team.
Yeah.
So that's what you're saying. Then they jump straight to the at bat, and you're like, well, wait a minute, how do I get the hell to get on the team?
You know the funny part with the cold calling, I found just being transparent works the best. I usually call them and they say, hello, XYZ company. And I say, you're not going to like this call. This is a cold call. But what I wanted to know is who handles this right here. And they usually tell me. It usually get through. Then I say, hey, this is Tim Beacham calling from XYZ. Because they don't care. They don't care who you are, where you're calling
from. They will care if you lie to them. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I cannot stand it. Irritates the living shit out of me is investor. I get a lot of calls from investors, from
investor
brokers, broke firms, or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, we talked a couple of,
you
talked to a buddy of mine." I'm like, "No, I didn't, because I wouldn't have talked to you then. I'm not going to talk to you now." And I go, I haven't talked to anybody that. Usually, if they're very, very rare, but if I do, I usually tell them what vehicle I'm driving. And then I tell them, when you do call me back, if you call me back in 6 months, give me 6 months to think about this or that or whatever, or come back. If you do call me, you better drop that quick, because I'm not going to give you the time, because but I can't stand that you talked to a buddy of mine. Now again, you're just like the Verizon guy who just came up there and talking. You're already quit trying to act like you're a friend of mine. You're not.
But I think somebody's teaching them this.
Yeah, it has to be, because they're all doing it. They're all doing it. Hey, bud. Click.
I told him, hey, I think we met in Costa Rica that time.
Yeah.
He said, yeah. I don't know who the hell you are.
I mean, come on. And that's
I know you have a meeting night, so I'm not going to take that much, but we're hitting 20 minutes. We usually go like an hour. So if you could tell me, and the people that watch this, besides taking your training course, which we know obviously we'll be pushing here in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we are salespeople.
What is the advice for salespeople, no matter whether it's B2B, B2C? What advice do you have as a selling strategy on how to sell your products or services?
I always say treat it like dating. If you have a problem with dating, if you're a guy and you have a problem dating with women or whatever it is you're trying to do, or vice versa, or if you have anxiety on meeting people and trying to get into a relationship or trying to do stuff, then sales is not good for you, because that's what it is. It's what you're doing. You're selling yourself. When you go out on a date, you're selling yourself. So I always say, think of it that way. You don't go on a date and the very first, I should say you don't.
I'm about to say, we heard a couple of stories here recently, but we're not going to bring that up.
But you shouldn't be going out on a date and talking about yourself the entire time, because you're not going to get a second date. In fact, you'll probably be left in the bathroom. Go to the bathroom, you come back out, and she's gone. And she's gone because you were talking about yourself constantly, and nobody wants to do that. The biggest thing that you can do, and I have a big problem with it too, is listening. Is saying, hey, I'm waiting. Like, we always have this tendency to want to sit there and wait like a little and pounce. And when we hear the trigger word, that's the problem. That's a problem I can fix. And you just pounce on it and go, ah! And you just throw up all of your whole entire stuff. And you can't do that. You've gotta be, I don't want to say flirt, because that's obviously not what you want to do, but it's kind of like in that stage where you're flirting and you're kind of testing the waters and seeing what's going on and what is it that what are the strategies that you have, or what are the stuff. And to me, my is when clients, just like you do with dating, hey, I want to know a little bit more about you. I want to kind of find out what you do and what you're into and all this other stuff. It's the exact same thing for clients. It's the exact same thing for businesses. I'm going to do a little bit of research. I don't need to get stuck in analysis paralysis and wonder, this is all. The best time to talk to them is when the full moon's out and it's cute. But it's finding things that they have that either they're maybe somebody in their C-suite has stated, hey, these are directives that we're going to do. Read their annual report if they're a publicly traded company or a nonprofit. Read the report, because they're in there. They're going to tell you what they're going to try to do. And that, if you go to the client, you say, hey, just like you said before, I know this is a cold call. This is whatever. I've been reading up on your company, and I've been seeing that your directives are this, and this. Now, so I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about that and just see if there's something that I can help. This has to be a symbiotic relationship. We both got to get something out of it, obviously. Yeah. I found that if you start with that approach, the mindset of, hey, this is a date, and if you get a contract, then you married him. So think of it as that way. If you're good at it and you're good at building relationships quickly, because that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
same thing. So that would be the biggest thing. And that is what I think AI can help. AI can help formulate those conversations and practice in front of the mirror. Practice talking to us. Practice talking to other people that that are in sales, and bounce it back and forth. The more that you seem relaxed, and the more that you seem calm, it's gonna do wonders.
Well, same thing with the dating, especially. I can't talk about dating from a woman's perspective because I have no clue. But I remember as a kid striking out. But I got better as I did it.
Right.
And I think my first sales job was in calling for this call center. And I said, hold on a minute. You just want me to make some calls and you guys are going to pay me and I get more money when I close the deal. I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
You made it.
Then I said, hey, why don't I come up with a product that I can do this on my own? And if I get on the phone and I make calls for 3-4 hours a day, then I can make thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's been working for almost 30 years.
And that's like I said, I'm in enterprise software and like I said, I have been very, very fortunate to be around. I would say the best of the bad. I've been around a lot of bad ones, but I've been around some of the best salesmen I've ever seen. I in all walks. I'm talking about not just necessarily software sales, I've seen it in financial services as well. If you got to have that charisma, and you got to have that willingness, and you've got to have that. Like I said, you always got to have like a little, just a smidgen of arrogance. Don't let it go too much, but you got to have a little bit of. Definitely got to have confidence. You got to have a little bit of, just a tad of arrogance in that.
Well, you
in that
shouldn't be in business if you don't have any of those things. And I
right.
think
You can do it. Yeah.
learn to meet the buyer where they're at is pretty much what you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta sell to the way they buy.
If I'm trying to sell a bottle of water at the beginning of the race, they're probably not interested as much as they're going to be when they're crossing the finish line. You know, so position yourself in the right place.
Exactly. And that again goes back to knowing what you're there for and what it's meant to be. So for young sales reps or even seasoned ones, I mean, it doesn't hurt to go back to refresher courses or refresher things and just see. And I'm not talking about the systematic, the medics, the metrics, and then the pain. And I mean, that's when you've done it enough times, that's what you're doing. You have kind of a set of questions. I always said they can say what all they want to do. It's really who, what, why, when. It's just like a journalist.
At the end of the
day, it's who, what, who am I talking to? What am I talking to? What is it that you got a problem with? Where is it? How long has it been around? Who's the one who's got the ability to be able to buy? What's your budget that you've got to be able to now spend on it? It's just it's just a firing of questions. And I usually, when I'm doing that, I always ask, hey, do you mind if I'm going to start rapid firing questions to you? And please don't think I'm just trying to, do it to do nothing, but it's, and you got to tell them, hey, some of this could be, it could be a little, I'm going to be digging around in some of, some some sensitive topics and stuff, which is, budget. Do you guys have a budget? Because they don't know. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And
I'm surprised at how many business owners. I talk to business owners on a smaller scale, like companies, $5-10 million companies, where you kind of talk to the big boys. Most of them don't know their numbers, man.
Mm-mm.
You don't know their numbers at all.
No, they're flying by the seat of their pants. I mean, I'm not lying. As we come, they just go, they'll say that, hey, I've got, I make this much, I spend this much money and I make this much money, and that is profit. And on paper, but that's not. There's certain things. I mean, look at the hospitals. The time value of money is huge. The time value of how much does it cost to sit there and wait for your money to come in, and if it takes you 2 weeks to 30 days to 60 days, whatever. I mean, you can be profitable right into bankruptcy, right into bankruptcy.
Well, the healthcare industry is a weird industry and it's very unique, and I learned a lot about it since we met. And it's there's a lot of stuff. What do you say? They're about 10 years behind on everything else.
Always, because they're one of the most regulated. They're one of the most regulated industries, and it always seems like no matter what political party you are, but if the government gets involved in the shit, it always seems like it jacks things up. So I think honestly that's the biggest thing, and they got to keep records around for at least 7 years, and if it's a child, they got to keep them till they're adult, till 21. They got to keep the shot records.
The same thing with the digital records.
Yep. So it's all and everybody's always trying to save a buck, and they're auditing, and everybody's trying to go back and get, hey, you overcharged me for this, you overcharged me for that, and it's I don't want to say it's a mess, but it's a mess. I mean, it's I get it. I understand some of the frustrations with it, but that's it is what it is. But
I think some of these lives that we're doing is this, we're picking up on discussions that we normally have anyway. It's the funny thing about it.
Yeah, it's a very easy conversation to have. We usually shoot the shit like this anyway. So that's really what the podcast should be called: just Tim and Paul shooting the shit.
So this stuff we put out there, and with the people are rewatching it, and the more content we put out there, the more engagement. I want to do something to help our business owners and some of these sales guys. Maybe we can teach them how to cold call too. You're teaching the upper. The guys you already have some sort of.
I mean, I'll throw out some names and stuff, but I like I said, I've seen guys in different industries. One of my best friends sells sells building supplies and stuff. And he's always killing it. He's a very personable. He's a very personable person, and when you that way, you build trust very, very quickly.
I would like to get him on there so people can kind of see and hear his perspective. Yeah, I think like some people might think I'm too aggressive.
No, really.
I don't mind going in there with some donuts, even though the sign's on the door that says you can't bring nothing in.
Yeah.
I'm sending all kind of gadgets in the mail. You know what it is? I feel like I know I can help them.
Right.
If you went out to a drowning person and try to save them, they're going to be beating the crap out of you while you're trying to save them. But I know they need my help as well. I look at it.
I got you.
Not like Paul Farley just going in there random, just throwing fire hoses to the police department, all kind of stuff.
Nothing's random. I planned it all out. So even something else. So, but yeah, no. I mean, like I said, for me, I agree. I think for me and this endeavor has been more just, it can be a very frustrating career. I mean, it can be a very frustrating, and it's just like anything else. It's highs and lows. Not to say that I don't know people that have crushed it year in and year out, every single year. And they do a great job. I mean, that's the thing. They do the things. This is not a, it's not a job that unless you have a thick skin and you can't have a bad stomach for it. You can do really, really well and still be laid off the next year. I mean, it's just how it is. And I've worked for some great companies, and I've worked for some horrible companies, and I've had, and I'm sure they thought, I've had some companies that think I'm great, and I've had some that think I'm, the devil. And again, it goes back to, I guess, standards. Company has certain standards that they believe in, and I do the same.
I think that's in that big corporation arena, because as far as the years I've known, you hit your number every year. You know what I mean?
Most of the time. Most of the time. I mean, I'm not 100%. I mean, I'm not, all the time. I mean,
well, so that does mean Louis Perry's a better sales rep than you.
I don't think so.
We're going to give Louis a little call. We're going to settle this once and for all.
Well, like I said, Louis does a great job. And like I said, Louis was one of my mentors and stuff. He got me into Oracle, or helped me get into Oracle, I should say. And like I said, I've you meet people along the way. There's a lot of people out there that have helped contribute to my success, and to and then of course that filters out to people that I've helped along the way as well. But no, I have not hit my number every single year.
Okay, I thought you did. Well, it's still good that you're taking information now and you're starting to help other people that's just getting started out, whether they're entrepreneurs, sales reps, BDRs, or whatever. Matter of fact, I know you helped one of our friends out, Rick, and I think he's going to end up crushing it over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he's in the right position. He's got the right thought, and yeah, so he's doing pretty good.
Maybe we should get him on the podcast before he blows up too much.
Yeah, we gotta get him before he starts thinking, we're too little.
Yeah. All right, but we'll hop over here because, like I said, I know you have some stuff that you got to do a little bit later on.
Absolutely. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Nah.